Single men of Reddit, what made you definitely not want a second date with a woman you went out with? She rolled her eyes when I said she looked nice. She had put in a lot of effort, criticized where I chose to eat, complained about the music we went to see. I spent the whole date anxious, assuming that she was hating every moment, because, you know, she didn't have anything positive to say about anything. Then I had a good time. Let's do this again. Now I'm good. I've got enough negativity and mixed signals coming from my own brain. I don't need that coming from the outside too. Oh gosh, she's a complainer. Just like my mom. She always manages to find something to complain about even when the situation gets better. I try not to be like her on dates. It seems when people are constantly complaining they literally have nothing to contribute. She didn't say anything. Like, there is being nervous and then there is that. We were taking a film class together in school and agreed to go see a movie together. 50/50. That counted for extra credit. It became clear a few days beforehand that this was turning into a full-on date and I just rolled with it. We were both single and I thought we could have a fun night out together. I asked if we could get dinner after the movie to talk about it and get to know each other better. She seemed excited by the idea and I was looking forward to the night. I picked her up and she was dead silent. She was dressed to the nines for a casual date and was clearly nervous. I did my best to break the ice and run the conversation, and the best I could get out of her was a nervous chuckle and a yep. After the movie I asked if she still wanted dinner and she said absolutely, and then proceeded to watch me eat dinner while she stared at me. When I dropped her off at home she told me she had a really nice time and hoped we could hang out outside of class again. I told her for sure, and we said goodnight. She flat out never said another word to me in class again. A year or so later I ran into her at a party and asked her what that whole deal was about. She confessed she was so goddamn anxious that she had no clue what to do or say. Apparently that was the first date she had ever been on with a guy. It's a shame too because in class we got along really well. I was just so put off by the silence that I didn't know how to approach her for the rest of the semester. Apparently she is a semi-professional golfer now. I haven't heard from her in years, but I hope she is doing well out there. This is the least bad comment on here. Hope she's doing well. Went to dinner. She was on her phone the entire time texting, even when we were talking. Figured she was just in it for a free dinner cause really what's the point of agreeing to date if you're not going to try to get to know the person. That's when you put down cash for your half of the bill and walk out. Fuck that. We went to her place and her pets and plants were all dead. I saw goldfish floating upside down in a fish tank. And she had a dead hamster in a cage on her dining room table. She said that happens a lot and all I'm imagining is hamster after hamster starving to death right in front of her. The word sociopath floated into my mind. I made some excuses to leave and she went a bit nutty at that point which concerned me quite a bit but at least I already figured her head was seriously spun. I once went to a movie as a first date with a girl. Her idea. Bad idea. She got there late and the movie had already started. She then wanted to talk during the movie in the middle of the crowded theater. I didn't shush her or anything, but everything was a one-word answer, trying to end the conversation. She got up halfway through and said I was obviously not interested in her. She was right. LOL reminds me of this date I went on where the guy kept asking me if I was okay because you're being so quiet. Yeah, we're at a freaking movie theater. You'd have to get rid of your cat. I'd get rid of you first. And that was the end of that. Actually had 2 women tell me I'd have to get rid of my cat. Pretty much immediately. Frick you. A cat is a life commitment. Frick that. I'm not even a cat person. Sorry, allergies. But pets trump first dates. I had someone once tell me that I had to get rid of the rescue dog I dug out of a trash can cause keeping pets as house pets is inhumane. Well frick you Tracy. So is putting a 3-week-old puppy in a trash can. 5 years later and that dog is still my best relationship. So, I'm not proud of this one, but I'll share. Years ago, when I was still single, I met someone online. We chatted a bit. She seemed cool enough, and we decided to meet up for a burger at a place I knew downtown. Seemed like a kind of low-key thing. I get to the bar a few minutes early and order a beer, then finish it. Then, 45 minutes late, she rolls in. 1 okay, cool. We all have jobs and have dealt with traffic and whatever. It happens. But no excuse. Just a shrug, and that's how it goes sometimes. She sat down. We began chit-chatting. She asked about my work. I assumed it was regular nervous small talk. 2. But no. It was trying feel out how much money I made. 3. When she asked my job title, and I told her, she immediately suggested that we leave this casual pub place to hit up a wine bar down the block. Okay, I guess. It's a little more upscale than I had in mind, but okay. We walk to there, get seated, and then come the menus. 4. She ordered herself dinner, some kind of seafood thing that cost an insane amount of money, and a bottle of wine. Not a glass, mind you. A $250 freaking bottle of wine. I had already ordered a drink from the bar for myself, and got the impression that this was not wine to share. 5. She kept talking about much her job sucked, and how little it paid, and how no one at her work was fun to hang out with. Like the only conversation she had was bashing work and co-workers, with a few mildly racist undertones. 6. The whole time, she was texting friends to meet up that evening. I was invited, of course, to party with them all night, and, I assume, bankroll their fun. I discreetly went up to the bar, paid for my drink, and just left. Straight up noped out of there, without so much as a goodbye. From my messages when I checked in online later, I know that I stuck her with an almost $500 bill, and that she was going to sue me for it. Heard from the wine bar owner later, it was close to work, and a sometimes happy hour spot, that she apparently tried to skip out on the bill, but they stopped her and she paid. BTW, my very next date was with the woman I eventually married. It went much better. I went on a date with a lady I met online. She talked about 3 things on this date and little else. Her pets, her ex, the last time she had gastro. There was no second date. She had a 1-year-old and told me about a recent nasty divorce. No problem until she told me that the divorce was due to the baby not being his. I'm consistently impressed by the number of people who are apparently willing to out themselves as cheaters, and on a first date no less. I drove her home because she didn't have a car at that time, and she asked we stop for an errand, or to pick up matching t-shirts she had designed for her and her ex. That's rude that she didn't make you one. She said, Hannah, can't wait for you to meet my older brother, he just got out of jail for selling heroin. Right, double quotation mark. Me, didn't you tell me your younger brother was addicted to heroin? Her, oh yeah, wonder how that happened. Frick this crap, I'm out. Wonder how that happened, when you don't put any points in it. When we saw Fury in theater, she read the subtitles out loud. I'm not sure if she thought I couldn't read them or if she needed to sound them out, but I knew at that moment no follow-up was necessary. WTF, that's just weird. I arrived at her place and she told me to hop in her car as she just needed to drop something off at a friend's house real quick. It wasn't a friend. It was someone she had an appointment to sell those hot oil infusers and their millions of scented inserts to. I sat in a stranger's home for 90 minutes while they smelled them all. She wanted to go to dinner afterwards and I asked her to please drop me off at the car so I could go home. She had a business to run. Guess it didn't even make it a whole first date. When she said I'm so glad my fiancé is still deployed, noped out and left her with the bill for that dinner. There's a special circle in heck for those people. She forgot to take off her wedding ring at the second date. I went for a meal with this girl I met through a dating app and it was going really well. We started talking about movies and then we decided to go to the cinema to go watch Inception. She said there was a cinema nearby but I didn't know the area at all. So I used the GPS on my phone and she held it and directed me. Once we got there we started walking inside and I realized I didn't have my phone in my pocket. I said I must have left it in the car and started to walk back to get it. She was trying to get me to leave it and saying we would miss the film, but the phone was only about a week old so I was really paranoid about it. We checked the car for about 10 minutes but we couldn't find it. I asked her to check her jacket and bag but she said it wasn't there. A couple parked next to us so I asked them to ring my number because I couldn't find it. It started to ring and it was obviously coming from my date's handbag. She took it out and said she must have missed it. I thanked the couple and locked my car, and as I turned back around she was walking the other way. I ran to catch up and asked what was going on, but she was very dismissive and was barely talking. That's when I realized it probably wasn't an accident and just left her to walk home alone. She asked if I had any love interests still in existence. When I said no, she didn't believe me. She told me she wanted to travel the world and see old friends, who were guys, and thought that I, as a lawyer, should work and pay for her travels. She was insane. She also offered to frick in her car in the first 5 minutes of meeting. No second date for you. Teeth as black as the night. She didn't have any diseases or syndromes, but simply no time to brush her teeth. For the record, her photos didn't show her teeth. I have a good friend who has to see teeth in a profile pic on a dating site or it's no go. Now I know why. If I ask you a question or try to talk, please reciprocate. I hate that I feel like I'm supposed to use up an arsenal of questions that will only get a brief response in return. Yes, when you feel like you're interrogating them because all they'll give you is yes or no. Met her at a hospital. I was in a patient for a hand wound. She was a phlebotomist. Asked her out to a movie and then dinner. Had a really excellent talk about comics and movies. We were getting to know each other and flirting. It was clearly a date. At the end, when I told her I'd like to do it again, she said her fiance probably wouldn't be cool with it a second time. Jesus H. WTH. Claimed that she was seeing other guys just to use them for free drinks, their pool, their car was nice, etc. Noped out real quick. Nurse I met on Tinder. She told me she disliked all her patients and that sometimes she would simply ignore them for long periods of time. That's a no from me, dog. That's not only morally wrong, it's most likely illegal as well. 6 years ago, I went out with a girl who called me a racist because I don't like sushi. I mean, yay, I don't like Asian people, but it's not because of their sushi. She never asked a single question about me. So frustrating. This was 70% of my friendships in college. It was like I was the dorm therapist. 1. Suggested we go to the nicest steakhouse in town. 2. When I assumed we would go Dutch or pay for our own crap, she assumed I was paying because she's just old-fashioned. 3. Asked me what my debt-to-income ratio was. 4. Upon learning I had paid off my student loans, demanded that I paid her student loans if I wanted a second date. I drove us to the venue, but I just drove home by myself after paying the bill. Go frick yourself, Erin, you cheap bee. First and only date with a girl I barely knew through some friends. I drove to her house. She got in my car and smelled like she had just taken a massive crap but forgot to wipe. Went to dinner. I barely ate. Made an excuse to end early. Dropped her off and drove home with the windows down in the middle of winter. Pregnant, but no worries. The father is locked up. But pregnant chicks can't get pregnant. This one girl told me she was giving me a chance because a mutual friend said I was nice. She was totally out of my league and we both knew it. But she insisted on acting like it was a favor to go out to dinner with me. If she's not actively happy about seeing me, I don't really want to see her either. I was 32. She was 25. She showed up to dinner high as a kite. Dropped the C word several times loud enough for the people around us to hear. She then got loaded during dinner, ordered an expensive plate and barely touched it. She also told me I'm stupid for still buying books, and childish for listening to music. She also insisted I had to take her out 2-3 times a week, minimum. It was also implied she'd be moving in with me in the near future. She was unemployed and living at home, which honestly didn't bother me. The whole jumping into the deep end did. 20 minutes into the date I text my friend, holy crap, turns out she's awful. I love dinner with those kind of gold diggers. It usually come with great story to tell my friends and I take pleasure asking for separate bill. She chewed her food with her mouth open. Always kills me. Let's play Simon Says. Simon Says chew with your freaking mouth closed. Went for a walk in the woods. She walked about 5 feet ahead of me the whole time. Would think maybe she was nervous walking alone in the woods with a guy she didn't know, but she's the one that suggested a walk. IDK, it was weird. She didn't even bring her wallet to the restaurant. I would have offered, and obviously ended up paying. but that level of presumptuousness was an immediate turn off. You have been visited by Waldoggo. Subscribe to Updoot Reddit and you will have good luck for 2 weeks. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.